How often do you cry?
Rarely. The last time I cried was a long time ago. I guess it's a man thing. Huh? There are so many things that will make a man cry, but we don't. I think it's nature. We kind of bottle up all our emotions and everything. So that's why I think I really cry.
Yeah.
But there is potential for crying now.
How often do you cry?
Quite often, especially when I'm cooking. I'm a bit of a chef, so when I encounter onions, and sometimes when I see things that make me go, "Aww," yeah. But generally, men don't cry. Well, there are times when I have felt like crying, but have had to suppress it. Sometimes, as a man, you have to be the backbone. You have to be the person who supports others. And if you cry and then everything goes to pieces.
I cry a lot. I cry often. I don't think there's a day or two that would go by without having cried, because I'm a very emotional person. So I cry when I'm sad, I cry when I'm happy. Sometimes I just cry when I think of something that makes me remember a very wonderful memory or a sad one.
Research suggests that when you cry, your body releases endorphins and oxytocin produced in the brain. These natural chemical messengers help relieve emotional distress along with physical pain. The most likely explanation for crying when in emotional or physical distress is that the brain is experiencing an overload in the production of endorphins. It is often said that the tears carry away excess levels of endorphins. In other words, crying is a self-soothing behavior. Do you feel like a different person when you cry?
Life is hard. There are situations where you feel like things are going very badly, but yeah, you have to. There are so much pent-up emotions, but like I said, as a man, sometimes you just I feel it, but I can't show it.
An article by the New York Post released in September 2017 suggests that the average woman will cry 6 times a month or 72 times a year. In comparison, men will shed a tear just 3 times a month. Or they say they do, at least. Much of this research relies on self-reporting, which means men could be underreporting how much they tear up. From early on, and in most cases, boys will tell you that they are told real men do not cry. When these boys grow up, they may stuff their feelings deep inside and withdraw emotionally from their loved ones, or self-medicate with alcohol or drugs, or even become suicidal. Many men therefore need to learn the skill of how to reconnect with their emotions. So, is crying good for your health?
Personally, I do cry a lot actually when I feel sad, because I realize that it's only human to do so. You know, not holding back your tears, not holding back your pain. Studies have shown that people who cry actually are much more better placed in terms of their bouncing back effect after an event or after a difficult situation. Second to that, when you cry, it's a signal, it's a sign that you need help. Because humanly speaking, the moment I see you cry, I want to come in and help. Because it's not natural to see people cry every day. But the moment you see somebody cry, you want to feel their pain, share their pain. So it's also a signal, it's a message that, hey, I need help here. And the third reason why it's also important to cry, and the benefit for that reason, is the burden is lessened to some extent. Because the moment you cry, you vent out, the tension goes away, and after that episode of crying, you feel much lighter, much more at a better state. And some studies still suggest or hint to the fact that after crying, it also helps improve your sleep patterns, because when you're tensed up, when you're stressed, you're not crying, you're held back, even your sleeping patterns are disrupted.
There are no definite guidelines on how much crying is too much, especially when it gets uncontrollable, even though there are concerns for when you find yourself crying more than usual.
We can go ahead and make some information from trends of how, say, somebody cries. But crying becomes too much when it now starts affecting your daily functions. You no longer eat as you used to. You no longer do social activities like you used to. You find them challenging. Your sleeping patterns, for example, are disrupted. Say, for example, you are never an alcoholic, then you start getting into alcoholism or doing drugs. So when generally it affects your day-to-day activities, then that's a point of concern.
But how can we be more receptive or supportive to people crying right in front of us?
When somebody is crying in front of you, the best you can do is be there for them physically. Now, as human beings, we are tempted to say some certain words, like, I hear you, I'm here, I know the pain you're feeling. When in truth, we really don't know what they're going through at that moment. So the best you can do is just be there physically. Unless, of course, they tell you that they want something, the best you can do is just be there for them. Sometimes they could even hint out with their hands, stretching out kind of like they want help. Then hold their hand, let them cry, and let them just be. Sometimes they might wish to be left alone. Respect that wish, walk out, because they want to be alone at that very particular moment. Because by and large, people tend to assume that crying is just, people cry and then they move on. But ideally speaking, there has to be that emotional support, that you feel you want to let down your emotions, you feel you want to share with somebody, then it's important to share with somebody, a trusted friend, a colleague, a spouse, a mate or somebody, even a therapist for that reason.
As challenging as it may be, experts say the best way to handle difficult feelings, including sadness and grief, is to embrace them. It is important to allow yourself to cry if you feel like it.